They purposefully review bomb games just because they won't have their way, which is wrong because yes, it might not have what you're looking for in that game, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad game in general. You get what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, you don't hate gaming journalists enough because it's just not enough for them to actually influence the gaming developers to make games that are similar to their personal politics or ideology.
Yeah, like what is that? That's crazy.
Or giving bad game reviews for games that do not follow their politics. It's now their incentive to actually take over games that have nothing to do with their personal ideology. And that's what we're seeing right now with Silent Hill F and PC Gamer, where they came up with their own
Hinako's Shimizu's arc and Silent Hill F is shaped by the Japanese women's rights movement of the 1960s and depicts how she musters the courage to combat repression she encounters. My thing is, whoever made this article, where did they come with that? Because Silent Hill is usually about your personal battles, battling your inner demons, fighting against certain things that you're dealing with mentally. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do about women's rights or anything. Like, I don't know.
Perspective on Silent Hill F, saying that it's about feminism and of course the power fantasy of women. I'm like, what are they talking about with this game? This is a horror game. And of course, if you know
exactly my point, like it's literally a horror game. You're looking too deep into it.
Anything about gaming journalism nowadays, it's more about their personal political fantasies of what they want to see in video games rather than the games themselves. And that's what we're seeing with a recent interview with Silent Hill F writer Rukishi07, who gave an interview to PC Gamer, was talking about the details of the game, but the interview themselves was trying to reframe the game in a political sense, where it was in alignment with their personal ideology. And that's what we saw with this statement, sort of poisoning the well for gamers that are not looking for political statements in their games. And that's what we're seeing right now happening in the gaming industry, where if you have a game and it has some sort of representation of any kind that they can hold on to, they're going to make that the focus of the game. And that's what we're seeing right now with Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's becoming a huge issue. Like, look at the Saints Row situation. They redid Saints Row. They put all their identity politics in the game. It did poorly. Nobody bought the fucking game. And now the studio's closed down. And I don't think they'll ever make another Saints Row again, which is a shame because Saints Row was a fun game. It was a fun alternative to GTA.
Hill F, where there's now a poisoning of the well happening to games that really don't deserve it, and it's pushing away gamers that are trying to avoid games that are done in this fashion. But first, let's set the stage. Silent Hill F was announced back in 2022 as part of Konami's revival of the iconic horror franchise. Set in the 1960s rural Japan, it promises a return to the series' roots, psychological horror, supernatural elements that are signature to the fog-shrouded environment. The writer is Rukishi07, mastermind behind Higurashi When They Cry, which is an amazing animation.
If you guys haven't watched the anime, watch it right now. Really good. It's a murder mystery / supernatural. It's really not supernatural, but it has supernatural elements in it. But that's another reason why I'm really excited for this game, because same person who made that anime. Higurashi When They Cry really messes with your mind. You know what I'm saying?
That has its horror elements deeply rooted in Japanese horror. And I think that's the thing people are looking forward to with this game. If you've seen this animation, you know it's out of its mind crazy. And I think that's the thing that's getting people excited about this game, where we have this combination of horror giants getting together to make a game, and it's building up a lot of hype. And I think that's the thing that is driving this game so far anticipation amongst the fan base, because if you know the series, the animations that have come out with this writer, you know that it's steep and deeply twisted narratives about human psychology, killing, supernatural, and non-political agendas have engaged fan bases. I think that's what people are expecting with this game. And
like, it's funny that he mentions that too. Like, I just saw a clip earlier today about Silent Hill 3, and it makes you question, like, is all the enemies that you're killing in the game, are they like actual monsters, or is our protagonist killing people? You know what I'm saying? It makes you wonder because Silent Hill, like I said, it's not a real actual place, but it's a hellscape in your mind. You know what I'm saying? People get trapped there.
And Konami was hyped about it. And you could hear the anticipation from the writer himself, where he released a statement about being a writer on Silent Hill, where he said, "To this day, I remember the feeling of my first encounter with the suffocating and oppressive atmosphere of Silent Hill still deeply haunts me, and it still utterly fascinates me. It's an honor to find myself involved with the series I have so many memories with. I've poured all my efforts into the story, so much so that I don't think I would mind if it was the last thing I ever wrote. To me, the Silent Hill series is more than just a collection of stories. It's a medium. It's an amazing, phenomenal way of exploring and experiencing a person's heart and mind. It's my hope that..."
Now that he mentions it too, honestly, this can make Silent Hill explode more in popularity. Like, don't get it twisted. Silent Hill is a popular game, but it's not on the level as Resident Evil. I mean, Resident Evil has a massive fan base. You know what I'm saying? Konami is cooking with gas with this one, I believe, and I feel like this is going to bring a lot of new horror fans into the series.
Players out there will come to appreciate it in the same way. And to all of the overseas friends, I hope you enjoy a look at what Silent Hill might be like set in somewhere a little bit different like Japan. And this is a statement from the writer who is a fan of the series and a gamer himself. So this is kind of a touchstone moment for him where he gets to make a story for the game he actually loved when he was a lot younger. And I think that is the thing people are noticing with some of the statements of the writer and the people working on this game. They're deeply passionate about the game, and it's about the vision of Silent Hill and the legacy of it. It's nothing related to the topics of feminism, DEI, and women's empowerment that we're seeing being pushed out with.
That's what I'm saying. And like this whole DI movement, right? All right, granted, I'm all about women's rights and stuff like that, but my thing is not everything should involve politics in it, right? Silent Hill has nothing to do with DEI in the first place. So why are you making DEI? Why are you adding DEI elements into a game like Silent Hill? And Silent Hill does have other female protagonists in the game. Like, I forgot the character's name in Silent Hill 3, but she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? I believe... I'm trying to think of another protagonist in Silent Hill. I can't think of any right now, but I'll definitely put up pictures of any other Silent Hill protagonists that are women. But anyway, that's why gaming as a whole is dog shit nowadays, if you ask me, because you get people who don't understand how to write genuine good stories and be inclusive. You know what I'm saying? The whole focus of their story is adding inclusion. So my thing is, why not do both? Why tarnish another franchise where you can make your own franchise based off of DEI stuff? And that's just my honest take on it.
Statements coming from PC Gamer. Because if you fast forward to an article that just recently came out from PC Gamer where they were interviewing the writer, they asked them a series of questions that really weren't in the focus of the game itself, where they were trying to set up a question so they can deliver this statement and frame the game in its entirety.
If even taken purely at surface level, Silent Hill F is a great experience, and the story woven in its first 5 hours. One of a young girl navigating rot-filled alleys and teenage psychological warfare completely pulled me in, and yet there was both room and this compulsion to dive deeper into Hinako's headspace and what it meant to be a woman coming of age in the 1960s Japan. But I think they're kind of missing the point. Like, from the video that we did, for our last Silent Hill F video we did, pretty much we discovered that she might not even come from that time period. She could be time displaced, you know what I'm saying? But it was a subject I was a bit shocked to see blatantly explored in Silent Hill F, especially considering the current climate. Although her as a genre is actually phenomenal and at facilitating conversations about adolescence and womanhood, and I'd argue that Silent Hill series itself has done subtly but extremely well in the past, this isn't a topic often explored in video games. My thing is, right, That's cap. Because we have The Last of Us, where you play as Ellie, right? Well, I should say The Last of Us. Well, I could group both games in, right? The first game, she's a young teenager. There's even a DLC where you play as her when Joel is, indisposed. He can't fend for himself. When you play with her and her friend, and before she meets up with Joel and the Fireflies. During that story, it's pretty much a story about a teenager trying to have fun in a zombie apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? Inside that old mall where there's a whole bunch of clickers or whatnot. And even though it pretty much sealed the fate of her friend and she died, you know what I'm saying? My thing is to say something like that is not true. Because there's another example, right? Another game where you play as a woman as a teenager and stuff, dealing with traumatic events. I forgot the name of this game, but it's kind of like the Telltale games. They have a sequel to it. I'm just drawing a blank of the name right now. But that game, the story is kind of crazy too. Like her teacher was a PDF file, you know what I'm saying? So to say that, to write that statement is very disingenuous in my opinion. I don't know. I'm convinced that some of these people are not even gamers, that they just now started getting into the medium. Mind you, with games that came out 10 plus years ago, had already wrote enticing stories about a woman. And I'm not even going to just say just women, but a good story about an adolescent going through the daily life and struggles as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Because the same could be said about both aspects. But that's just my humble opinion. I'm going to finish reading this. During my interview with the Silent Hill F team, I asked them if it was their intention to explore gender roles, relationship dynamics between men and women, and the horrors of being a teenage girl. Ryukushi07 told me that not only was it intentional, it was part of the game. He took a lot of effort into depicting purposefully in his shows. So it's like you're focusing on bullshit, if you ask me, right? Like, why focus on this stuff rather than focus on how good the game is? Which everybody who has played it is already saying that the game is wonderful. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. You know what I'm saying? So as long as the game is good, so what? I feel like we need to get rid of a lot of these journalists that don't know what the hell they're doing, or just want to focus on identity politics. I'm not saying it's okay to not have your opinion. Like, you can have your opinion, but have your own space and do it. Don't do it under a different company. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep on going.
In a political way. And I think this is what we see with a lot of interviewers nowadays, where they're trying to frame questions where they can readjust the whole story of a game based on their personal political ideologies. And this is what we see during an interview with the Silent Hill team, where they ask him a question, where they ask him if it was your intention to explore gender roles, relationship dynamics between men and women, and the horrors of being a teenage girl. Rikishi07 then replied by saying he took a lot of effort in depicting it purposefully. So this is the statement where they're getting the headline of an article saying that he is depicting strong women's empowerment and feminism in the game. And I'm like, huh? Is that true? And you can see the PC Gamer headline right here where it says Hinako Shimizu arc in Silent Hill F is shaped by Japanese women's rights movement of the 1960s and depicts how she musters the courage to combat repression she encounters. And I'm like, huh? How do you get that from that statement? Just look.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you literally taking words that the writer of the story is telling you, and you adding stuff to it. You putting words in this guy's mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I have a feeling that a lot of people are having issues comprehending what people are saying and misinterpreting things and then just spinning around to suit their own, like, delusions, I want to say.
Back at this statement that they're building on this headline where they're brought back to Japanese women's rights in the 1960s, you compare it to the statement that he actually gave where he was saying that it was an intentional part of the game to include the gender dynamics between women and men, which is something you always do when you have women and men in a situation.
Exactly. My thing is, right, with any type of relationship, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, there's always have to be a sort of dynamic between the two different genders. You get what I'm saying? Because if not, then it's no relationship at all. At that point, we're not even human. You get what I'm saying?
Specifically horror movies. So he's saying, yes, we're making a horror movie with men and women in it, and they're gonna have dynamics between each other. I'm like, what is this statement where you're concocting where it's about women's movement rights in the 1960s? It just doesn't really make sense. And they're bringing in repression and overall freedom and activism into the game. I'm like, what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with the writer's statements. But this is the new narrative spin that we're seeing now from gaming journalists, where they're going to spin what writers say to be in line with their personal statements. I think this is the thing that we see right now with a lot of journalists where...
Yeah, like my thing is, right, is that they're constantly doing stuff like this, and it's just causing strife. And then they're trying to get other people to boycott games too, if it doesn't fit any description of any sort of DEI. You know what I'm saying? Look at games like Black Myth Wukong or Final Fantasy 16, right? There wasn't no DEI stuff in there, but those were some good stories, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, don't add DEI into games if you don't know how to write it into the story and have it meet. Because, like Asmund Gold has said in the past, I think his name is Tolkien, that wrote Lord of the Rings. You can argue and say that that story, that book, and that movie, and franchise as a whole, is about DEI in a sense too. Because you take all these different races, right? You take all these different genders of the different races. They all come together despite their past and their history to overcome Sauron and his army. You get what I'm saying?
They can't change the games before they're coming out, so they're gonna change the games right before they release, where they're going to frame the games in a political way that is in line with their personal ideology. Since they can't influence some games, they're just going to make the games about their personal ideology, even if that's not the case. And I think this is reflective with this headline for PC Gamer, where they made it about 1960s women's rights, because that's what they want the game to be about, even though that's not the case. If you compare it to the writer's previous statement where he's saying, I want to make a Silent Hill game that is dedicated to the legacy of Silent Hill, this is just flatly not in line with his over...
I swear to God, right? If they try and boycott this game, I swear I will buy 2 fucking copies of this game. I will buy it on PC and I will buy it on the PS5 just to spite these Karens, because that's what's going on. Like, a lot of us is just sick of this shit, man.
Overall sentiment of the game, and this is kind of the sketchy journalism that we're getting nowadays in the video gaming world, where PC Gamer highlights this quote in a way to emphasize female suffering and agency, tying it to the protagonist Shimizu Hinako, who's the main character of this game, a teenage girl. They describe the game as following her through chaos, making a beautiful yet terrifying decision. But by isolating this quote, they imply the game is a commentary on women's rights and roles and the feminist movement in the 1960s, when this wasn't even in the answer or even the question that was being posed to the writer. They just created an entire political angle to the writer's response. And I think this is the thing that we keep seeing in gaming's journalism nowadays, where it's about framing entire games based on your journalism without even influencing the game itself. You're just saying, this is what the game is about, and I don't care what the writer intentions were at.
Honestly, a lot of video game journalists that work for these big corporations like IGN, PC Gamer, and all that, there's a reason why you're seeing a whole bunch of independent video game journalists like Yang Yin and Angry Joe and them, because a lot of us gamers are getting tired of stuff being fed into a, like, force fed that we don't want to read about. And honestly, a lot of times the description of the games that they play don't be accurate at all, or they purposefully review bomb games just because they won't have their way, which is wrong. Because yes, it might not have what you're looking for in that game, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad game in general. You get what I'm saying? And the one thing I can say about being a creator, you can't please everybody. you physically can't please everybody. You know what I'm saying?
At all. It's about my intentions. And this is kind of the things we see from localizers nowadays, where they take Japanese content and they make it about themselves, even disregarding the culture of Japan and the writer.
Why is it always the people with the different color hair? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but every time I see the shit everywhere, man.
And the original creators. And I think that localizer mindset is coming into practice with gaming journalists, where they want to localize the entire game through their journalism.
I was talking the whole time and my mic was muted. But yeah, pretty much based off of these comments that everybody's writing on Twitter, it seems like these people are instantly I don't know, they're instantly assuming that this game is going to be filled with DEI, but honestly, that's not what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, from what I read and from watching this guy's video, I don't think that's the case. I just think that they took what this journalist is saying out of context and putting two and two together, and they coming up with their own decisions. I mean, which is fair, but in the same breath, I say just get the game a shot or read the reviews, an honest reviewer. You know what I'm saying? Not these dickheads that's out here just like lying or review bombing the game. You know what I'm saying?
This quote where people saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna buy the game anymore. I don't want to see this nonsense about political ideologies and women's rights movement," when the game is not really about that. That's just the journalist putting it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's literally like, from what I gather, he's pretty much saying that yes, there's going to be dynamic between men and women in the game. Like, that's what any story, that's what any personal relationship with anybody in real life. You know what I'm saying? I think these guys are so tired of dealing with the DEI and woke bullshit in games that, you know, it's starting to affect other games that don't even have it.